Awesome. Cool. We can go through and just hop right into it then, I think. So today we're going to go through and talk about doc management. Probably should share my screen. That'd probably be helpful. Okay, so we're going to talk about document management, really looking at how to go through and maintain the documents within Filevine. What's a good way for going through and getting them set up, and then how do you organize them? And then we can go further into talk about Document Plus, and then we can look at sharing documents and sharing folders too. So we'll just kind of hop right into it. When you're going through and you want to manage your documents and change names and things like that, update documents, that is going to go through and be right in the advanced, and then we have our DocGen setup. So you can see that for each different project type, which we have a lot within our sandbox, there are different documents, and really each document each project type, you'd have to code that document individually, which can be a lot of work. You want to go through and change one. If you have multiple templates, then you need to go through and update all of them, and then just more prone to error and going through, and a lot more work to have to go through and do it. No matter who's doing it, if we're doing it, I mean, that's fine. But I know as a past Filevine administrator for a law firm, that it's not fun to have to go through and do that. A big time suck. So we're going to go through and look at personal injury because we actually do have some documents in there. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, we'll do case summary. So right here, I see 3 or 4 different documents immediately. And I can say that these do have terrible names for them. Of course, this is just an example. These are all just examples, but we're going to go through and pretend that these are going to be real live documents that we need to be able to edit and be able to, generate, print, and send out. So if you do go through and just double click on the document, you are able to click this edit button up here, and you can open the document within Microsoft Excel or Word. Oops. And then from here, any changes you make, since I open it that way, would save to the document. We won't get into too much of the actual document building because, correct me if I'm wrong, Jasmine, but we do have another free help that we do for that. Okay, cool.
DocGens, yeah.
So perfect. So I'll say with our document generation, really what I like to go through and do is, for managing them, is our titles. So I can come here and I can just hit edit. And of course I can put, whatever title I want it to be. So I'm just going to rename this one just to LOR for the time being. If I come here into my field list, this is how I go through and get my fields for all of my documents. And also we can put them in the title. So let's see if this generates. It may not, just because our sandbox is there's a lot of fields in it. The more fields that you have and the more templates you have, the slower that these fields load. Overall, reporting slows down too. So that might not go, but I can go through and I can just I can put something, let's say, else in here. Let's say, what is it, client, or we can just do name. We'll do name. So now I've gone through and I've named this with those brackets, which is a merge field. Still now. Within Filevine. So let me go through and just
and there are
open up a new tab.
Sorry, there are just some codes that are going to be consistent across all of your field lists, no matter what template that you're in, or what section that you're in, and name is one of those. It's the name of the project. So there are a few that you can kind of pick up on the more that you do kind of DocGens that you're going to see consistently kind of across the board. Client name is another one that's going to be consistent regardless of that field list.
Yes. Generally, when this does open, cool, you'll see this general section. These are all the things that are going to be able to apply. Everything under this general, they're going to be able to apply across all of your firm, all of your document managements, regardless of template. So it looks like it's frozen on me now. I don't know if you can see my spinning circle right there. So that's super unfortunate. Okay, perfect. It's working now. All right, so I'm just going to come into case summary where I've gone through and I've created that document, where I've updated it, and we have the name, -lor, and I'm just going to go through and give that a quick regeneration, and you can see the effect of it. It is going to go through and it should pull in the actual project name. There we go. So we have the Vine Skills best practice personal injury, which is just the name of our template, but it's also just the name we've used for this project. If I did client name, then it would pull up Money Penny. If I did client name extended, then that would pull up Miss Money Penny as well. So that is one way to be able to go through and do it. Now, I don't have examples for it, but if you have like an insurance section, I generally suggest you go through and we have the beginning of the document start with the in the insurance company, so that automatically, if I have 3 insurance companies in there and I'm sending out a letter of representation on each one, I know which one is paired with which insurance company just by using the insurance company name. I don't know if this would, since I loaded this from our case summary, it won't actually go through and pull in. So can't test that out, but it would be whatever your field is. If it's a field that you've gone through, an insurance one that you've received from us, then it should be insurance company as your actual field code. And we find those if for whatever reason you're having this page so that it's not working, you can also go into, for the not custom ones, you can come into, or for the custom ones, I should say, instead of the actual general ones, you can come in here into the actual project, and that won't actually work for subsection header. So if I did this referring to, if my other page doesn't load, I can go through and I can just copy this. Also, Filevine is able to go through and get you a copy of that too. Now, after we go through and we have our naming conventions, the one downfall that you'll see is here where I've gone through and I've added that actual merge field name. You can see that it does appear right there. So if you have a very long merge field, a very long field name, then you might want to end up putting that in the back of it too. It's how you want to go through and do it. I generally do the name first and then the document after, but I have also seen it, and I think it works well too, to flip those around, where you go through and you actually have the document name first and then so you can kind of sort them and organize them. It just really depends on what kind of things you're trying to go through and do with it overall. Let's see here. So I would say probably be good to put the title of your document first, give it a dash, flip this around, and then actually have that in there. And then you can go through and you can create, we use Google Sheets a lot over here at Excel, or at Excel Vine Skills, can't talk today. But we also go through and use Excel itself. And so I will go through and generally I generate an Excel sheet that goes through and it's going to list the project template, the case summary, or the section that it's in, the document name, and then here in the background, I like to make sure that I know what folder it's going in. So if I come back to my case summary, and let me just Control F, and we want to search for the word doc. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Okay, so here I like to also then have a column to notate where exactly that this one's going. This one probably should go, it's case summary. Well, we can actually just leave it there in the base folder then. But I have a column for that. I like to notate that. And then I will also come through and any tags that are there, I'll put those there. So then it's really easy to go through and have that information. Then you can also provide that. If it's a Google Sheet, you can provide it to the firm, or even you can provide just the Excel sheet. And I'll show you how we can share those here in a second so that it's essentially locked. Other teammates aren't able to go through and edit it, just you. So you can also do that with a password protect in Excel if that's the route you go. But there are other ways that we can handle that too.
And I think
those are
Sorry, those
Oh,
auto
sorry.
tag folders are great ways to manage your documents. That way, they're not all going into that root folder, and then someone's having to take the time to move them over, add tags, things like that. It's really great for you all to be able to have those things automatically be added by the system, so that when you do have Docs Plus, or if you do have Docs Plus, the Docs feature up here that allows you to search, you can easily search by those hashtags that, again, the system is automatically generating for you. And this searches across your entire org. You can narrow it down to projects, but if you're like, hey, I want to see all of the LORs we've sent out, and you already have a hashtag LOR, it makes it very easy for the system to, again, do some of that work for you. And when you're going through to create those folders, Filevine has somewhat of a phantom folder option. So you can create a folder within your folder structure, assign it to that field, and then remove that folder from your folder structure so that it's not popping up unless a document has been generated from that field. So that's a really nice way to say, like, hey, I want to, cut down on the amount of folders that I have, but when I have something in this particular document, I do need this folder to pop up. It's super, super helpful, if you do need those phantom folders.
I personally, you beat me to the punch there on that. But I use them all the time. I think that it helps go through and keeps your folder template clean, but then it also allows room for customization. So if someone were to create a new project right now, they would end up having this case summary docs if they created the personal injury one in there. So, but what I'm going to do is we'll make that a phantom folder. So if I come here into the case summary and I again search for doc, let's see here. Perfect. I can have it go to the case summary, hit update, come back to my folders, remove that, and click save. And then if I'm looking back at that again, it will say, you can see that there's this warning that there's not a built-in folder, but any documents that are generated in that field will still be moved to that folder. So if I go through and regenerate a new document in whichever project, if there wasn't a folder already that was the case summary docs, then a new one would be created. This is very helpful too if you're going through and trying to keep track of, you want like a different folder, let's say for each of your collection section items. I'll go with insurance again. If you're on the plaintiff side and you're looking at the insurance, you can have your folder generate, and then you could go through and you could rename that folder. And then the next time you generate try to generate a document in a collection section, if that folder isn't there, if the name has already been changed, it creates a brand new one. So you could go through, create it, edit the name in the actual documents. Ooh, where are our documents?
Just
Oh,
below.
there we go. I was looking for the word docs. So if I went through and I created one right now, I could then click on this and then come up here and rename. So if this was that case summary folder, then I can come here and I can call it, we call it case summary. Oops. Case summary docs. And then I could have it as contract one. Like if I updated it, put it there, since this has that contract one after it, it's not any new documents that are generated from that widget or that are referencing that folder won't go through and actually they won't go into that old folder. So that's how you can duplicate some of these pretty easy. Let's see here. So then, and I will say, just when it comes down to doc management, I think naming and these hidden folders, these false folders, they are great ways to be able to go through and do it. Also, make sure you have your tags set up. And then I generally say, if just so your team knows too, makes it pretty easy. If you have a tag that is gray and it doesn't have a note under it, then it's not actually a tag that we want to use within the firm. That way, it makes it very clear and it makes it easy. So if I am looking for LOR, I know to always go through and search for hashtag LOR, or and not like hashtag LOR dash like health or dash liability, anything like that. We can also, or so with that, those are just some easy naming conventions and a good way to help organize and customize your document experience so that the documents go into the correct places. Do either of you have any questions so far? If not, we can definitely keep rolling along. If you do go through and type something, I have it pulled up so I'll see it and I can stop and go back and re-answer it. Okay, so let's take a look at, let me close that first so we don't freeze again. Oh, and I froze it just by clicking on it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we can go through and we can talk a bit about Docs Plus. I personally say I always recommend that you go through and get Docs Plus just because of the features. They are so nice to be able to go through and see all the little details about the document. Here on the side, you can get a short preview, which of course you can go through and you can expand that preview, which then, like I use a trackpad and I can go through and I can zoom in. You click the eye and then it will pull it in there too. I like the preview. I think it's very nice information. You can get a lot of information from it here. You can add tags to documents after the fact. So I'm just going to add, oops, that's not what I want. Let's see here. Oh, see, yeah, like this one is an approved tag by Vine Skills in their sandbox. But I'm just going to create this other tag test for now. It's created it. It's good to go. And then you can see it just pops up right there too, which is nice. Version history. And then also you can come over here to this link and you can create a new share link. We have a couple different options and it really depends. I like to think of it, it depends on how long you want to go through and you want to share it and who you want to share it with. If you go through and you do anyone with this link, then it's easy for someone to go through and get the link and be able to open it and read the document. So just be a little bit wary about that if you have sensitive information in there. Otherwise, I like to go through and generally do people with a password and sometimes only specified file by users. So if I wanted only Jasmine to be able to go through and see this, I can just start writing at Jasmine. And then when I save, we have a share link. And then, but the only people that are able to see it are the people that are logged in under that username. So this is one way to be able to go through and close things up. Works pretty well with internal users if there's some sensitive data you don't want other users to see with a specific document. You can also come down here and you can edit it. So how many times you want or how many days you want. So if I want Jasmine to be able to read this just by tomorrow and then she can no longer have access to it, this is how I'd go through and do it. But if you want something to just indefinitely be shared, you can also go through and just put a bunch of digits in there. And now, I mean, that's probably overkill. Oh, let's get rid of 19. Still pretty overkill. Well, so now like 2051 is when that access expires. You can also go through and create a password. This will allow, or this will force someone to be able to, or force someone, oops, let's see here, bind skills. It forces someone to go through and have that password, so then it really secures it. I generally use this one a lot, especially if I'm sharing something with someone, and then I'll go through and I'll just email them in a separate, like, okay, here's the password for it. So then it's not all tied together. When you've gone through and you have done that, let me just paste that in there, and you can see enter doc password. From here, I can type in my Vine Skills 1 password. And then this is what I'll see on the other side. When a user uses it, they can download it. They're not able to make edits directly in here, other than the very basic things. Not too many things that you can actually do, which is unfortunate, but you can go through and download it so that you have a copy. I feel like this works really well too if you need to be able to go through and share discovery or share information with opposing counsel. Shared document folders are very helpful. Or shared files. Now we can also go through and just share the folder completely. If I'm clicking here though, in this view, you can see I don't see a share folder option. If I come here though and I click on this view so I can get the tree view, then I can come through here and let's see here. I want to share my folder. There we go, share folder. And then you end up with the same menu. You now enable to do it, actually have a two-way sharing so that both users can, or both sides can go through and upload things. You do have to do only people with the password. And then, of course, just provide that password to whomever, and it's locked up. They can go through and download everything, and then they can also upload other things for you to see too. Let's see here. And from here, I can go as well, and I can say, okay, these are the folders that I want people to be able to see. Nope, not, let's see, view only. Okay, yeah, that won't let me do it. So view only right there. This is just the settlement. You can see that there's no subfolders there, and I can go through and my password and hit save. Have my link there too. Now, coming back to our document management, what I would suggest is we can use a shared folder or a shared file tool or option to make it easy for team members, everyone on the team, to be able to see the actual Excel file, but not necessarily edit that. You'd want to go through and set all your permissions in there. You don't want someone to actually just go through and click into the actual document and make any changes. So if you have a, let's see it. Let me find my, well, I want project type of admin. If you have an admin folder, then we can go through and let's see, we'll do the mailroom example here. If you have helpful links, because this is just in a training videos that the Vine Skills team has gone through, compiled, and recorded. If you have received this from us, if you see anything that's outdated, definitely let us know. We try to do the best we can with it, but sometimes things slip through the cracks. So we're happy to fix it though. But what you could do is in the background, once you've created your share link for that Excel file that has all of your documents organized and nice and neat, you can come into the project wherever you want that link to be housed. Sometimes we'll use just notes, and you can type the link in there. Just make that share link, type it here, have it there, and then everyone could access it. Or you can go through and let's see, create a link. So if I look at here, this is how links are created, which is nice. I don't have to actually go through and do anything with it, but I could create my link and then go through and or paste a link there, paste a click button like this, and then team members would click on it and it would bring it to one of those share file pages, and then they could view it. They'd be able to easily view it there. So that's a good way to use Filevine's internal tools to be able to share. So you don't have to necessarily pay for another service. You can manage all of that within there. I think that right there is very handy, that it can just live right there, and you can give everyone a link that doesn't expire that they can click on and open it up. You can share, if you share without the entire firm, then it's locked onto there, but generally the link should work for that. It's not often that a list of documents is going to actually have any like privacy concerns with it, because it is going to show just basic information like what is the document's name, where is this, what's the section, what's the title, all of that. Cool. Let's see here. Another thing with Docs Plus too, I don't want to skip over that completely. Let me go back to my documents. We do have the ability to go through and you can do bait stamping through it, which is really, really nice. You can attach a project document that's already in there, or you can just drag and drop if you have them on your local desktop. And then you can come through and add advanced options and do your bait stamping if it's required. So I can, let's see here, let's do test, and I want to start at, oh, I want to do number of digits and start at, there we go. So you can see this is what the bait stamp would look like. You can decide where you want it to be, increase margins, first page, all pages, and then there are some choices here. Kind of limited, which is unfortunate, but you should be able to find something that should be helpful. When you go through then, and if we bait stamp it, what happens is it creates a brand new folder, and it's going to have your bait stamp documents in there, which now if I open this, don't even know what's on this. Okay, so now it says we have our test 1, test 2. So those are good to go. Not the best format for it, but I will say I don't bait stamp very often. So I do apologize for that.
And then on
Let's
any of
see.
the shared documents that you do send out, there'll be a little like person icon so that you and your staff know, hey, this is being shared out with somebody as well. And then anytime, you know, if you've invited a guest or something like that, it will have their information in there as well if you've shared that document out with a guest.
Yep, because you can come here to guest share, and then I can share with one of our guests. They'll be able to go through and see it. Now, this is that little person that Jasmine was talking about. So I can tell that it's shared there. And if I want to come into my actual information, I can come to my share link. I can click on it since I've created it. And then I can see how it was set up. So anyone, you can see any details with it, only people with passwords, specified Filevine users, or anyone with the link. Let's see here. I guess we can create new documents directly here in Filevine. Just come through and click new, and then you can add each of these. When you go through and you double click on it and then open it up, then you'll be able to go through and just create that content for it. Joanne, I see your question. What is the guest share? You don't see that in your system. So it is also going to go through and depend on project permissions, I believe. But if you're a project admin, when you come into your team, you can have your guests. You can see we have Danielle, Jackie, and Jen. If I go through and I click on, I click on this actual individual, I can edit, I can add any roles if I want to. Guests aren't being able to actually go through and see. They won't be able to see all the sections unless you've gone through and granted them permission for it. They will just see this top bar right here. And I don't think they can actually go through and share
Nope, they'll be able to
I don't believe
see
so.
the activity feed, but only items that are shared with them, the documents section, and all of the folder names, but only documents within the docs section that you share with them. And then whatever sections you choose to share with them, they have the ability, based off of what you've chosen, to say, hey, you can just view this, or you can view and edit this. Now in the activity feed, you'll see the option to share with a guest. It'll let you know, similar to the doc section, hey, this is being shared out with someone. And you're also able to task your guest in the activity feed. They'll be able to see all of their tasks as well. In their activity feed, you can assign them to a role and have auto tasks assigned to that role, and it will be assigned to that guest as long as they're in that role. This is a feature that you can utilize if you're like, hey, we have opposing counsel that we want to be able to see stuff, or we want to invite our clients in. Now, the clients one, I feel like it's a hot topic or a hot debatable option, because you know your clients better than we do. And so some folks are like, my clients will consistently reach out to me if they have access to a system like this to be able to ask updates, or, they're checking in every day, and that might be a lot for you all. And so be cautious when kind of giving out that guest access, but it is available and a nice feature because it allows you to kind of share out that data without adding that person into your entire org. You can pick and choose which cases that they're kind of added to at that guest level.
Yes, and so if you come here to this guest and you click on the actual guest name, then you have these other options that pop up. So you can change project notifications, project access in general if you want to go through and update it, project roles, and then guest section access. So here I can see quickly that Danielle is a guest on this project, and Danielle doesn't have access to any of our sections besides the very basic sections that and information that Jasmine went through and just mentioned. If I want to go through and update those, I can click the different sections, update that section access. And then if I go through and click my key again, those will go through and say, if I want, let's say I want Danielle to only be able to access the medicals, to be able to edit and put her own information in the medical section, I can turn that on. And then we're still seeing these other two, but I'm not going to let her edit it. And so it'll just go through, and you just can really customize and limit someone. Now, you'll want to go through and add them on a case-by-case basis. I would, unless it's a guest that you're working with a lot, if it's your actual, let's say, client, or it's someone who you want just limited information to, but I would go through and just add them individually on a project level. Then you don't have to worry about anything in member access, which this could look differently than y'all's, but you don't have to worry about their name being under here, and you're not going to go through and get charged for that extra seat because someone is just accessing their project. If you do put it here, then chances are you'll probably be charged for having a seat by Filevine, because they won't be able to tell right away that that person is not actually a user within the firm. Cool. Let's see here.
Within like generating a document, you have the ability kind of both in the document section and wherever you've generated the document from to do some actionable items, such as noting this or moving or copying a document. So if you do have, a document that maybe needs to be copied into or moved to another folder, you can definitely do that. Sometimes things get, created in error. If you're not an admin, it's difficult to delete documents, but you can delete them. So, note that as well. You'll see in that kind of 3 dots that Derek just pressed, you have a few options. That share link item is also in there. The ability to edit or update that document, add tags, move or copy, rename, all of those things are kind of listed there. And the ability to note this. Noting this will bring that document into your activity feed so that someone doesn't have to then go search through the document section to find the document that you want them to kind of look at. And so I'd recommend utilizing kind of some of those features there as well for you. And then, if you have AI fields, you can run the analysis on specific documents. Just above, you'll see like the blue sparkles. That indicates the AI fields, the ability to run AI, prompts on those documents. And so you're able to, without having to upload them into a section and run a specific analysis from that section, you can do that here and show, hey, I want this in a PDF. You have a little bit more flexibility here in the doc section to kind of run some of that analysis. And then you can always create additional folders here in the docs section as well. Super easy. That way you can, again, continue to manage your documents a little bit better and easier so that they're, again, not all sitting in that main folder and you are just scrolling through a variety of documents there.
Yes, it works. I would definitely suggest work on the documents, make sure that people are putting things in the documents correctly. generally, we have our fields set up so people can drop them where they need to. I will say I heard someone call this the dumping ground, this base folder, the first folder you get into. And that's very true, because the base folder can get very, very long with a lot of different documents if we don't have our folders set up, and if team members aren't actually going through and if they need to manually move one, or if they notice that one document is not going into a folder, I would go through and encourage them to talk to you as well if you're the administrator, so that you can go through and make any updates, because it's always possible that you've gone through and potentially missed something with it. Let's see here. Oh, it looks like, oh, there we go. All right, so yeah, this was the review, the AI review of my one document. So that is a very, very nice and neat feature. You can also, with documents too, if you do have a task, I will say, if it's, someone needs to go through and they need the attorney to review something, I can say, oops, at Jasmine, please review this demand. I can go through and then click right here. And then if I had my demand in there, which I don't, oh, I don't want that one. That's not a good one. Not a .eml file. Let's see this one. I can go through and I can create it. And now it's tasked to Jasmine and it's right here. So then it's helpful, really easy to know, okay, this is where we need to actually look at our document. So if you have like a pre-generated task, you can go through and you can tag them here. Otherwise, within the actual doc section, like Jasmine had mentioned, noting the document in there, that is a good way to go through and do that as well. So if I click note this, I can say, at Jasmine, please review, can't spell, or it's one of those days for me. Okay, so here I can just hit save, and that's created a new task immediately from there. And you can see that they go through, they're tasked over to Jasmine.
And you'll see
So
that
those are, sorry?
no, that new blank doc has a lock, both in the activity feed and here in the doc section. That's indicating to you that someone has it open, and they're editing it. So you'll see, hey, it's being edited, it's locked. You do have the ability to unlock a document, so that you can go ahead and edit, but whoever's editing that, their edits won't be saved if you unlock it. So just be cautious with doing that, and make sure that if you're the person that's opened up these documents, even if you just click the edit button and it never actually opens the document for you, it'll still show as locked. And so you'll just want to make sure that you're clearing all that out, and that you don't have these documents sitting opened on your desktop, because your other team members won't be able to access that, or they'll have to manually unlock it. So just kind of a note there.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. Let's see here. Trying to see, actually. Okay, so now this document, since I do have it attached to a task, I can go through, and if I'm in there, I can just click it. I can also open my document from there, and have some options to be able to go through and share, send through via Vine sign, all of these different things, which is really nice. And if I come into properties, then this gives me a bigger box that sometimes it's easier to go through and look at. You can move the document directly from this page to any versions, edit document, and then, of course, any share links.
And that
So,
that Derek was just on does show you if the document's been OCR'd. That's important. If you're trying to run AI or anything like that, you'll be able to check that OCR'd status right there on that page. So if you're seeing any errors or issues with it being OCR'd, you can definitely reach out to Filevine to make sure that they can take a look to see and get that back kind of OCRing for you.
Yes, that's a great point. Yeah, because if it does an OCR, um, like the AI fields, AI review, that's not going to work. It'll just say that it can't give you any information, or it'll give you barely any information. Maybe not the complete story of what's actually in the document. I've seen that quite a few times. Just got to be a little careful with those. Okay. Trying to think what else we can go through and we can cover.
The only other thing I can think of is that doc section just at the top, which we briefly went into when we talked about tags. Again, this searches your entire database. It'll search not only the title of your document, but the body of the paragraph as well, if you use that search bar just at the top. And then where Derek is typing now, in that filters, that allows you to kind of narrow down your search. So if you're like, I only want to see projects with a certain tag, or with a certain project name, or even uploaded on certain dates, you can definitely do that. You'll see that there's nothing highlighted in this view. If you use that little caret to the left of the title, it'll usually highlight for you kind of where they're seeing that word that you searched for in the document as well, which is really nice.
That is very, very nice. Yes, you can see right here, I searched for the word deer. These other ones that went through and pulled in, like those are fine, but we have this deer money penny from that document that we are going through and using. You can see exactly where it's at. And it goes through and it gives you that word specifically. Yes, if you've gone through and you've done the tags, this is a great way to be able to do it, take inventory, be able to find certain documents faster. So if I wanted to do attachment and come down here and just hit apply, close that out. You can see all of those with attachment, which is very nice. And I can see how many documents there are. So this also works too if you're going through and potentially just wanted to run a quick number. So if I want to see that it's all the documents that were uploaded with attachment after the first of, well, let's do first of the year because we don't have many documents in here. Do the first of the year and just click apply. Then it will go through and it pulls all those out. So I do recommend this. It's very, very nice to be able to go through and use this as a tool to be able to navigate through your documents just in general. And I would say it probably going to go through and work better than the search deeper.
Yeah.
You could go through and do it here too as well. But I will say this isn't, if you're doing it for documents, this isn't going to be the best place that you're going to want to go through and do it. Because if I just search attachment and you can see, it looks like we have a combined docs, a bunch of like court reporter information. So it's not nearly as helpful. Potentially, you can see some information and you could click right here. But I think that this document section, if you have Docs Plus, this will probably work better for y'all. Especially too, because you can see we can also merge these as well. Let's see here. Let me go through and refresh. Perfect. So if I just search for this one right here, and I want to go through and just combine all these documents into one PDF file because we are no longer working with that project client, I can go through and I can click these. I can download them. I can go through and I can merge them as well. And if I need to merge them into a different project, I sure can.
Awesome.
Cool.
Any last minute questions that we can answer for you? Thank you so much, Derek. You're always a wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you sharing and spreading that knowledge to all of us. Again, I put some items in the chat for you all, so that if you do want or have any questions, you can reach out to us, or if you do want to kind of peruse our website, view any previous free help sessions, or just other videos that kind of our team has gone through and created, you can definitely do that. We're kind of here to help and happy to help. If you've been in Filevine for quite some time and you're like, hey, we need help cleaning up our documents, or we need help making sure that our Filevine is running as efficiently as possible, we also offer free Filevine audits where we'll go through, run some reporting and stuff like that in your org and let you know, hey, here's where you can improve, here's where things could be a little bit better, or just areas where it's like, hey, you're not utilizing this field at all. We may want to look to obsolete this field or revamp these fields, things like that. Again, we're here, and we know that Filevine is continuously growing with you all, and we hope to help grow with you all as well in your journey in Filevine. Hopefully we will see you all at another free help session. Thank you again so much, Derek, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Thanks all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.